graduate student at the University of Georgia, majoring in natural resources. So as a graduate student, we're tasked to do a project based on forestry and soil ecosystem services. And it's in a location that we choose, or about maybe a term paper or whichever idea you have with approval from your advisor. So I kind of want to be a little different and give you all insight into ecosystem services, not so much paper-based, but actually within the community and the people that actually are behind the scenes working to provide these services to us. So the place that we're going to be visiting in this video is going to be the Two Creek Plantation, which is in Montgomery, Alabama. You'll follow me on my small little journey and interviews with Dr. Thrasher, who owns the property, and District Conservationist Christopher Joe, who is in the NRCS office in Macon County, which is also in Tuskegee, Alabama. Dr. Thrasher's property is actually within Tuskegee, Alabama range, but he lives in Montgomery. So you'll get to see that. And also, this is my little friend, or my best friend, Dexter Butler. He actually went on the travels with us, but he will not be in these videos, unfortunately. But he knows as much about everything that I'm doing as I'm about to show you. So I hope you enjoy the video. What are ecosystem services? Ecosystem services are benefits that people obtain from ecosystems. These benefits can be anything such as the air we breathe, the food we eat, shelter, peace from nature, and aesthetics, and so on. These benefits fall into 4 different service categories. The first one is provisioning services. These are products obtained from the ecosystem, such as genetic resources, food and fiber, fuel wood, biochemicals, and fresh water. The second service is regulating service. These are the benefits obtained from the regulation of ecosystem processes. Examples include climate, disease and water regulation, water purification, and pollination. The third is cultural services, which are the non-material benefits people obtain from the ecosystem through things like spiritual and religious enrichment, cognitive development, reflection, educational development, recreation, ecotourism, aesthetic experience, sense or place, and cultural heritage. And finally, supporting services is the last of the 4 services. These are ecosystem services that are not necessary for the production of all other ecosystem services, such as primary production, nutrient and water cycling, production of atmospheric O2, and soil formation. As we progress along on this journey to Two Creek Plantation, our friends Dr. Thrasher and District Conservationist Christopher Joe will provide insight and give us information as to what way Two Creek Plantation is an ecosystem service. First, let me give you some basic information about our location. Two Creek Plantation is located in Shorter, Alabama. This area is a part of Macon County. Property contains over 400 acres of hardwood and pine forest, a green tree reservoir for waterfowl, and a 12-acre shallow water impoundment. And it is owned by Dr. David Thrasher. This is the owner, Dr. Thrasher. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm David Thrasher. I'm a medical doctor. I practice pulmonary and critical care medicine. But before that, I graduated from Auburn with a BS and MS in fisheries and wildlife biology, and I've had a lifelong passion for the wildlife and the ecosystem. My father was a wildlife biologist and got me involved with conservation efforts at a very young age, and that's what I love to do now. Very interested in educating our youth, and my property I make available to the Boy Scouts, church groups, conservation groups, and things like that. I bought this farm in 1996 or 7, and I was looking for some property, having 3 boys and the love of the outdoors. I wanted to get something that I could raise my boys and and hopefully teach them about wildlife and environment. So I got that, and this had been in pretty much a cattle farm since the Civil War. It had most of the oak trees had been cut off, and there were oak trees around, but no pine trees. So what I did, I went in with the help of the NRCS and some local foresters. We cut some of the mature pine trees that were probably 70, 80 years old and starting to die. So we cut those and we planted different strips for pine trees for wildlife. And so that's how we started. And my goal was not to do this for monetary gain, but to manage it primarily for wildlife and recreation and education. We use best forestry management techniques, and when I first planted the pine trees, our plan was to do a 30 or 40 year rotation. But then the more I got into it and thought about it, I said, well, I don't want to do that. In 30 years, it's a total clear cut and starting over. So what we've done now, we've gone to about a 20, 25 year plan where I'll do clear cut sections, maybe 5 or 6 acres, and then another few years I'll do another one. It's kind of a checkerboard thing, so there's always habitat for the animals, and a new clear cut is good habitat, but in a few years it's not. So we don't want to clear cut the land in 30 years and then destroy the habitat. So I do a checkerboard cutting program now, which you always have mature trees, and then you have some clear cuts, which really is great for the land. The timber that we harvest, of course we sell it to the local mills, and then it goes on to pulp or bigger wood products. So that's kind of what we do there. As far as the forestry, other management techniques, I don't allow any grazing, and we don't allow any dumping of the oil on the land when we change the tractor oil, things like that. So we never bush hog or do anything, within usually about 100 to 200 feet from any of our streams. Feral hogs are a horrible problem. They're destroying the forest and cropland in Alabama, from South Alabama north, and they got hog problems all the way in, of course everybody knows, Texas and then Pennsylvania. It's a huge problem, a huge economic problem. I've broken axles on the tractor. There's a very bad economic problem. We have a very active trapping program. Over the last 3 to 4 years, my neighbor and I probably have trapped in excess of 500 feral hogs. The problems with hogs, they'll have 2.5 litters a year and have 6 or 7 in a litter, and a hog can, mama can reproduce after she's 6 months old. I'm on the Auburn Research Foundation board, and Auburn's working diligently trying to find a solution to this, but as of right now, we don't have a great solution. But it's a major problem, economic problem in the entire South, and soon to be the entire Northeast as well. But our program is really just trying to trap them. A lot of people will shoot them and hunt them, and that's certainly okay, but you cannot eradicate them there. Once you shoot 1 or 2 hogs, the other 50 are going to run. The best way to do it is a trapping effort, and the NRCS has been leading the charge with that. Well, the way I feel about it, I've been very blessed, and this land I'm just renting it from God. And what I like to do is use this for primarily for youth. Now, I've got a part of the farm that is special use. Only people I let hunt there are the wounded warriors. And myself, my son, who actually started an organization called A Hero, American Heroes Enjoying Recreation Outdoors. When he came back from Iraq, he noticed a lot of his colleagues were committing suicide. Matter of fact, more veterans committed suicide in the last 10 years than we lost in Vietnam. So because of that, he founded this 501(c) organization, and we at our farm and surrounding farms have hosted probably 350 wounded warriors. Many, all of them have had traumatic head injuries. Many have had one or two, or even one that had 3 limbs removed. And we only let these people hunt on our land. The other group that we let hunt on this special 300 acres are children with terminal diseases. I've had a young boy whose lifelong dream was to kill a big deer, and we were able to get Matthew a deer, and he died of cystic fibrosis less than 6 months later. We've had several children with cancer hunt there, and 2 years ago we had a young boy who's at AUM who is almost 100% blind and paralyzed, and we got him a nice deer with a crossbow with a specially equipped motor vehicle, or a wheelchair I should say. So we do that, and the farm is opened up to church groups, Boy Scouts, Boys and Girls Club, and things like that. We've done many things to enhance the value and the aesthetics of the land. The most, I guess the largest, most impressive thing we did was working with Mr. Christopher Joe with NRCS and Ms. Gwen Lewis, who is no longer with the NRCS, and we developed a plan for a wetland restoration. So what we did, we returned a lot of the land that had been placed in row crops and pastures back into the wetlands. We made a roughly 20-acre reservoir for wildlife, for wetlands I should say, and we have some of the largest numbers of waterfowl in the area. One of the things I'm really proud of is we've improved the habitat, and now we have large numbers of wood storks that frequent the property and nest there. And these are endangered species that we have quite a few nesting pairs that I'm very proud of. We've also seen other endangered species there, including some kites. We have bald eagle families that regularly call Two Creek, which is the name of my farm, their home. Not to mention the deer and turkey population, which was very scant when I bought the property, but now we've improved the habitat, so we have a large population of upland game. We have taken an interest in eradicating a lot of the noxious weeds, the fescue, and the things that were planted for the cattle, and then we returned it to native grasses. We've done a lot of things as far as improving the habitat of the forest by the woodland release program. We leave dead trees as den trees. When the trees fall to the ground, we leave them there instead of clearing them for the animals. We've created structures along the creeks and the ponds for habitat for reptiles and turtles and things like that as well. Now, like I said, I have a degree in fisheries biology, and I always wondered what would happen if we could, what it would take to grow record bass. And when I was at Auburn, I said, well, what limits the growth is competition, more fish, and lack of food. So I built 2 reservoirs, a 6-acre and a 20-acre pond, and for about 4 years, I've furnished it just with forage fish, threadfin shad, bluegill, etc. Only then did we put the adult bass. I only put female bass. With the help of the Auburn University and North Carolina University, we sexed the bass and put them anywhere from 3 to 7 pounds in there. Each one has a microchip in the belly that we can scan, and we did that for the first 5 years and had incredible growth rates. And I use those ponds now for entertainment. It's a put take, or excuse me, I should say a release only, and mostly for children and Boy Scouts and church groups and things like that. So that's kind of what I'm doing with the farm.
On our way to speak to Dr. Thrasher, we stopped by the Macon County NRCS office to meet with DC Christopher Joe. Chris is going to lead us to the property and give us a little more information about Dr. Thrasher and his involvement with the NRCS. This is Chris. He is my past supervisor. He knows everything about Macon County, so I will let him introduce himself.
My name is Christopher Joe. I'm the District Conservationist for Macon County. I work with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Dr. Thrasher is one of my landowners that I met when I first got to Tuskegee. He's very instrumental in doing conservation practices. He enjoys wildlife. He also has a couple of endangered species on his property. So when we started to work together, we got a couple of programs through the EQIP, Environmental Quality Incentive Program, and also the Wetland Reserve Program, which is called Wetland Reserve Easement now. But those two programs really helped him kind of get his property to better encourage wildlife to habitat his areas. And with the prescribed burning that he's done on some of the timber, it really does help in the environment to keep them coming back.
And for visiting services, Dr. Thrasher talks about harvesting his trees and selling them for pulp and also for larger timber products. In regulating services, Dr. Thrasher talks about barrel hogs in the NRCS back program helping to remove them from the area. In the cultural services, Dr. Thrasher expands upon his Wounded Warrior program. His son, who is an Iraq veteran, helped him establish this. He provides the veterans a place to hunt and fellowship regardless of their disability. Dr. Thrasher also extends his property to disabled children for the same purposes. Dr. Thrasher has many supportive services. He consistently utilizes agricultural practices to improve his land for not only aesthetics, but wildlife habitat, soil formation, and nutrient cycling, and so on and so forth. By being a good steward of the land, he has provided a safe haven to several endangered and/or threatened species. Because of his background in wildlife and upbringing, Dr. Thrasher has truly provided not only Macon County, Alabama a benefit, but also the world.
Well, I was very humble and blessed to get this, and it's something I did not seek, did not deserve, in my opinion. But I've been working with conservation efforts for a long time with the Alabama Wildlife Federation, in addition to the NRCS, and they blessed me with the Alabama Conservationist of the Year, the Governor's Conservationist of the Year award this last summer. And I was very, very blessed. I've also been blessed by receiving the Auburn Mosley Award for contributions to youth and youth efforts, and I got that several years ago as well.